Hello, hello, purpose driven entrepreneurs. Welcome back to another show. I'm so excited to be back with you today with another amazing guest and topic on our show. And I will be introducing myself for those of you that are new joining our community and listening to our show. I'm Alona Lapari, your host, best-selling author, host of this Life School Masterclass show, and also CEO and founder of the Life School, where we help mission-driven, purpose-driven entrepreneurs scale to 6 and 7 figures with proven marketing and sales strategies so they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. Today, I'm very excited, as I said before, because I have another special guest, and we're going to be diving into a really important topic, I say, with as far as finding self-love. So we're going to be speaking about learning how to self-love towards a more fulfilling relationship with Anna Thellman. Anna, thank you so much for finding time to be on our show today.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, good morning. And I'm saying good morning because I'm in China. So for me, it's 12 hours later than for you right now. And I live in China here now for 2.5 years. I've set up here my own company. I focus on individual coaching and training, but I also do business training, but that's not the topic today. So with my individual clients, I help them to ditch their toxic relationship standards by boosting their confidence to have the life and relationship they desire. And when I say relationship, I'm not only meaning a romantic relationship. Of course, we all want that. But I also talk about business relationships and family and friends, or with a stranger. Even that is a relationship. It's a very short and small one, but it is. And that all is what I'm teaching.
I love that. And I know we have connected prior. So I love those fun facts about where you're actually physically living in China. And I'm in New York. And besides our time difference, is really interesting to, as far as we're chatting over some of the cultural things, as far as, how maybe people there relate to self-love and coaching and the whole industry. So it's a really great conversation. So I'm hoping you could tie it in with everything that you're going to tell us about self-love and how everything starts with us, right? We're always the core of everything. And we need to learn how to do that so that we can have those fulfilling relationships. But Anna, before we go into kind of a deeper, I would say, deeper into the work that you do with your clients, tell me a little bit more about your background. How did you get to to do this, to teach this? How did that happen? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, my self-love story, I call it, is started 25 years ago. So when I had my first relationship, I was 15, and that's 27 years ago. Don't want to cheat here. So I've gone through many relationships, through many toxic relationships, not just romantic ones, but also with friends or with bosses, where I was very disappointed, where I just, it seemed like I'm running against the wall and I'm not where I want to be. I'm in this cage and I can't get out of it. And having all of these experiences throughout my life and getting out of coming them, I think now in hindsight, it was just all meant to be, to happen to me, so that I have all this knowledge and I know how to do it to then help others to walk out of these situations. So in my romantic relationships, I've been abused. I've been hit. I've been shouted at. I've been cheated on. So much going on. I've also had 5 miscarriages. So I'm gone through the loss. I'm gone through the grief. I had a manager who was shouting at me and it was very mean. So I've gone through that. So there have been so many things that added up for me here, and saying, I can help you if you at one point in your life where you feel like, I want to get out of here, but I don't know how, where then I would come into play and would then take your hand and guide you out of it.
Absolutely. I mean,
And the coaching story, sorry?
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me.
Yeah, just very quickly, the coaching story started just a couple of years ago because when I was younger, the word coaching wasn't really out there. No one knew about coaching. It was either training or teaching, but coaching, it was like, yes, that's therapy. So only very late in my life, when I was 31, I discovered my passion for learning and development, and I followed that path. And that led, with my last job back in England, to me being a coach for apprentices, helping these young people manage life and school and work, and getting all of that together and still have a life where they can be happy. And then coming to China, that just developed into my own business and doing what I love.
I love that you found your purpose through hardship, sounds like. And of course, I'm so sorry about your experience, but I feel like even personally, through so many of the challenges that happen to us, it's kind of those connecting dots that in the moment, of course, none of us want to have anything like that happen. But in
Was yeah.
retrospect, it leads us towards our purpose. It leads us towards, now we don't want to see other people struggle and suffer through it. So now helping other people that
Yeah.
are in those positions, and that's kind of how, we feel like we're on purpose and we're doing something meaningful and we're actually contributing with our work. So that's really, really beautiful. So give us some of the signs, and I know you mentioned a few based on your personal story or things that you maybe help your clients with. What are some of those signs that we need to look out for in toxic relationships so that we don't get ourselves into that? Or if someone listening is into that type of relationship, what are some of the signs that we need to look out for?
I think a good sign is your self-talk. So what do you tell yourself about your relationship? If you catch yourself just having excuses all the time when your partner is doing something and you're not happy with what he or she is doing, and you just find an excuse to make sure it's not that bad, that might be a good sign. Because then you just try to make it right in your head. It gives you the I think you calm yourself down and say, this is why I'm here. It's not that bad. But when you think that, then it's usually bad, from my experience at least.
So if we have that awareness, there's something to look into. We don't want to ignore it even further, because I just know as well, from this field, that a lot of times these unconscious patterns that maybe we're exposed to also. So it just sounds familiar and it's the wrong thing, but because it's familiar, it's hard for us to listen to our intuition, our awareness, so that we know like something's off. This is not serving me. So I love.
Yeah, and we don't like change.
Oh, absolutely. That is another big one.
Yeah.
So we'd rather stay with the bad familiar than make the leap and, make the change to get on the other side and heal ourselves. I think it's a process of healing, to kind of overcome so many of those things so that we come and we find that. But I'm going to let you kind of take us towards the journey that you take your clients. So let's say most people that come to you are probably, within those patterns or looking for help with that sort of problem and solution. So how is it that you help your clients? What is your process? How do we start the healing? How do we become aware, first of all, and then start the healing process? What does that look like?
Well, it's there is nothing that pops into my head or I've ever heard that makes us become aware. It just, I think for me, it always was the feeling that I'm not happy where I am. This can't be it. That was always my thought, but I still wasn't aware that I wanted to change, or that I needed to change, or that the relationship I'm in isn't where I should be. It was just like, oh, this doesn't feel right. But you go on. And eventually, I think with time, you get to a point where it's just enough, where you reach that limit and you say, okay, something needs to change now. I
Yeah.
think you might know it from your own relationships with any kind of relationship, that you get to that point eventually. For some it's earlier, and for some it's just later. It takes time, whatever your time frame is.
Yeah, I love that you
And
said awareness come within really understanding that you're just not happy and there's something going on. And then most people always react at the point of, desperation, or something has happened, unfortunately. So that's kind of, and it's sometimes, it's never too late, but that's kind of reactive approach to taking. So what are some of the steps that we can take to proactively, never get ourselves to that point, unfortunately? What would you say?
well, that's where we come then into self-love. And I think to get away and not get into those situations is to accept who we are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So when we have this self-acceptance and we're okay with who we are, what we are, then we don't need the validation from anyone else. Because that is usually what brings us into these people, to these relationships where we're not happy at, because we're looking for something that we think we can't give it ourselves, so we need it from somewhere else. But if you have all of that in you, and I'm amazing the way I am, and even if you just say, I'm okay with who I am, that's so much worth. And when you have that, you choose a different path. You choose the people around you in a different way, especially your partner. And then you will just select more carefully. Who do you let into your life? Who can match your vibration? Who can give you what you need? Because at that point, you will be more aware of what do you actually want. Not just this long, long list of, I know what I don't want, but actually, this is my list of what I want. And you will go for that, even if you don't do it consciously, but you'll have it in you then. It's then the fire has lit.
That is so good, because I think that's at the core of everything, especially us as women, because I see this in business all the time, that we don't, we're not always very good at articulating our value. We want validation, we have gifts, we have so much to offer, but a lot of times, we don't value that because, once we were not grown up to, to have that self-love and to really have these powerful tools so that we can actually start to, understand that. But I think it's in whatever angle we see that as women. So really, learning to be okay with who we are, understand what we stand for, and go forward with faith and trust in the process that, whatever we want, we have that clarity and we have boundaries. I think it's also another important one. And we are very, very protective over who we let into our world. Not everyone is going to be someone that is going to help us move forward. But I see this all the time with when you're crafting a vision in life, you want to, in a certain area, you want to improve something, you want to set goals, you want to do something, that clarity is so powerful, as far as what you're trying to accomplish, and that it comes from within, because it's so true that we look for, I did that for 15 years before I broke free from the corporate chain. I thought that's what I was supposed to do, climb the corporate ladder, was supposed to be successful, but I was not happy and fulfilled. So I think that clue over, something's off, even though on the outside you might even look perfect to other people. And that's usually the problem, right? Because it should be self-driven. So I love that you shared that as far as self-love, and starting with that and understanding what we want and what we stand for, so that we have a chance in attracting and setting that intention so the right person comes in our world. That is so important. So what is some, do you have more tips, Anna, for people watching this interview over, practically, or, something else that we can do to, first of all, discover what is it that we're looking for, or what is it that we want, and how do we set the process in order, or out there in the universe, so that we can improve our self-love?
So what I do with my clients, the first thing that we do when we start working together is we quieten our inner critic. So we have that voice in our head all of us, who tells us then that we shouldn't do this, or this might not be good for us, or it's holding us back, but it's also driving us. But it always has this bittersweet taste. It doesn't feel like it's lifting us up, it's more dragging us down. So all of us, we have that voice. My voice name is Lucy. So when Lucy comes in, she's telling me, oh, Anna, you should do more, especially in work. You need to work more. You need to do this. You need to do that. So that voice. And we want to quieten that, because that voice is holding us back. That voice tells us in a relationship, it's good enough here. You won't find anyone else. So we want to quieten that, to get more space in our mind to focus on what's important. And when we've done that, when we practice that, because it's a very, very hard task, because we're programmed to do that for so many years, and then to switch just takes time. But once we're into it, do then is I want my client to make a list of what do you want, and be specific. So not just, I want to have a happy relationship. We go into, what does a happy relationship mean? What does happy mean? What does relationship mean? So we go into the nitty-gritty, into the little details, that we can have a picture in our mind of what is it that we actually want. And when in our mind, it's again automatically happens the process that we look for that. And when anyone comes along who doesn't fit the bill, it's like, I don't know if I'm able or want to do the compromise. And if it still feels good, do the compromise. If it doesn't, then you just move on and you're okay with that. So these are the two main things that I do with my clients.
I love those, because the inner critic, it's like you have to separate the inner critic from the fear and the mumbo jumbo, so that you could get the clarity that comes from within. So you know exactly intuitively, where you're heading and where you want to take your life, what journey. Because just like anything, I think today we have a lot of choices. That's another thing that people are trying to navigate a lot of things a lot of times, so we have so much more access and information, but we're striving for wisdom. People are more overwhelmed, people are more confused. So I think really, tuning that out, teaching your clients to really separate the two, which one comes from the fear and the critic and all of that, and which one comes from your heart, so that you're very, you're aligned with that journey. I think that's beautiful. And the other part of writing down a list and being specific, there's so much power to that, because once you have the clarity of what specific you're looking for, if some doesn't fit that, we automatically reject it. It's like, okay, that's not what I want, because I already identified what I want. So it's the same with business, right? Being very specific, because happiness means something different to me, it means something different to you. Success looks something different to me, it looks something different to you, right? We all have our own definitions of everything. Really being very specific with those is really very, very powerful. And I thank you so much for everything you shared so far. We actually have reached the end of the interview. I know we can go on into this topic for so much longer. I definitely encourage our viewers to reach out to you, and I'm sure you have resources and things that you have available for them in case they want to look more into this area, if something sparked their interest or related with your message. I want to thank you for everything you shared. And I always ask my guests at the end, what is that purpose or that mission that you feel most likely called to serve? So if you'd like to share that with us, I would love to hear that, or any last message or advice that you have for our audience.
Well, I usually say I'm here to spread the love. So the love that I carry inside of me, I want to carry to the world, so that as many people as possible feel the love for themselves and spread it.
Oh, I love that beautiful message. And it's so infectious. Just throw it out there and you give yourself those good feelings, and it goes out to the world as well. Thank you so much for sharing that. And lastly, where is it that people can connect with you if they would like to learn more about your work and you and all of that?
Yes, people can connect. They can come and join my Love Diva private Facebook group. They can also find me on my website, which is
Sorry, Anna, go ahead. I played accidentally.
SelfLove. I was a bit surprised.
So tell us again. SelfLove Diva is your Facebook group, yeah?
Yes, that's my private Facebook group where I share all my knowledge and bits of my life. And the other, I'm lost now a bit, my website, which is selflove-coach.com, where again you can know about me and my programs and blog articles and some goodies.
Awesome. Thank you again, Anna. Thanks so much for being our show. Friends, we have reached the end of our show today. As usual, you'll find this show as a podcast on all major podcast platforms and also on our YouTube channel, Alona Lopari Life School. Bye for now. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Thank you so much, Anna. Take care.
Bye-bye.